live view of the Dragon Endeavour spacecraft as we await its departure from the International Space Station on its way back to planet Earth. It's Sunday, September 3rd, here at SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. We expect Dragon to push away from the space station at 4:05 a.m. Pacific, 7:05 a.m. Eastern, with our Crew-6 astronauts, including NASA's Steve Bowen and Woody Hoberg, United Arab Emirates astronaut Sultan Alneyadi, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Andrey Fedyaev. The crew is currently suited up and in the Dragon, and the station hatches are sealed and in preparation for departure. Once the undocking sequence is complete, Dragon will use its Draco engines to thrust away from the station in a series of 5 departure burns, which are carefully choreographed maneuvers that will increase the distance between the spacecraft and the space station. From there, a phasing burn will place Dragon on a trajectory back to Earth.
Wrapping up its trip home, Dragon will go through deorbit, entry, and landing, which covers all operations after that final departure maneuver. That includes trunk separation, a deorbit burn, closure of the nose cone, deployment of the drogue and main parachutes, and finally, splashdown off the Florida coast, at which point our teams will recover the Crew-6 astronauts inside Dragon from the water.
So for those of you just tuning in, we are standing by for the command of the undocking sequence. Again, this is an autonomous sequence that Dragon performs once commanded to do so.
Undock sequence commanded.
Standing by for undock burns 1 and 2.
All hooks open and nominal.
Copy, see the same.
And Dragon separation is confirmed.
At 6:05 a.m. Central Time, and after 184 days on the International Space Station, Dragon has departed the orbiting laboratory, traveling 256 statute miles over the Pacific Ocean.
Depart burn 0 complete.
To depart. This is an awesome view. You can actually see lights from those Draco thrusters as they fire.
That's depart burn 1. It's about a 21-second burn, and you can see it executing right now. Great to have this nighttime shot to actually see those Draco thruster firings.
Absolutely.
Copy is moving into suit doffing, spacing for the cameras, and thank you, ISS. It's been an amazing 6 months. It's Crew-7 and 69 Soyuz, continue Expedition 69 and then for 70. Enjoy your visit, and we'll talk to you back on Earth.
Well, now that NASA astronauts Steve Bowen and Woody Hoberg, Emirati astronaut Sultan Alneyadi, and Roscosmos astronaut Andrey Fedyaev have departed the International Space Station, as you can see with that great half-lit shot there on your screen. It will take them about 17 hours until they're back on Earth. The crew is currently doffing their spacesuits to settle in for the flight home. And today, Dragon is targeted to splash down off the coast of Florida, as Gary just said, at 9:17 p.m. Pacific on September 3rd, or 12:17 a.m. Eastern, September 4th. And that will be followed by the crew getting picked up at sea by one of the SpaceX recovery vessels. As they rest up, our teams here will continue to keep an eye on the weather to ensure a safe return to Earth for Dragon and our Crew-6 astronauts. This is a great graphic indicating the trajectory. This is an ascending trajectory that Dragon is taking. So as Gary just said, over the Gulf of Mexico, across the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. So if you're tuning in from Central Florida, head outside right now, look up, because this looks like our first live view from the WB-57.
That's right. This is a high altitude aircraft that has thermal imaging, so we're able to get some of those views of the Dragon vehicle in the middle of its entry interface. Again, we're about 4 minutes in. We have a tally-ho on the vehicle from the WB-57, and actually maybe about 5 minutes in at this point. So maybe a little bit more than 2 minutes. Again, there's some variation in the predicted 7-minute time period. It's not exact. We might hear a little early, a little later.
So at this point, we're going to hear SpaceX Core begin to hail. As Gary said, this blackout period is estimated. So we're now beginning to reach out to the crew to see if we've regained that communications capability.
Dragon, SpaceX comm check.
What you're seeing on your screen now is a live view of the thermal cam on the WB-57.
SpaceX Dragon,
And we hear Crew-6 from inside the cabin on the back end of the blackout.
Copy, Dragon. We see a healthy flight computer. Expect automated chute deployment.
SpaceX Dragon, copy.
There's our live view of the crew, our first view of them on the other side of that communications blackout. At this point in time, they are re-entering through the Earth's atmosphere over the coast of Florida, heading towards Jacksonville, Atlantic coast. Up next will be the deployment of the drogue parachutes, which should happen in about 2 minutes, just over 2 minutes.
Drogue pyros have fired, and we have good confirmation of drogue chutes. 2 drogues.
A view from inside the parachute bucket.
Dragon, nominal descent rate and recovery team reports a visual on 2 healthy drogues.
SpaceX Dragon, copy. That's good news.
Should see drogue chute jettison here momentarily. We'll see those 2 chutes that you see be released from the capsule, just like so, and release the 4 parachutes, now deploying.
At this point in time, Dragon has saved all of its propulsion systems and is now has already terminated that nitrox suit and cabin purges. Those were helping to keep the crew cool during the reentry. Looks like we have 4 very beautiful and healthy main parachutes.
Dragon, we see a nominal descent rate on 4 healthy mains.
SpaceX Dragon, copy. And SpaceX Dragon coming up on 1,000.
So there's that confirmation.
Copy, 1,000 meters.
Confirmation of those 4 healthy chute deployments. Dragon Endeavour continuing its slow descent. There we can see splashdown on screen. Those parachutes are then cut and released.
We mentioned a couple of times the recovery team's familiarity with these operations and able to move a little bit quicker. They prepped the crew for about 5 minutes of capsule lift. That happened in just a couple of minutes.
And it looks like we are starting to see the capsule be lifted out of the water. We can now start to see the heat shield. Dragon now in the air, the hydraulic lift being activated and will be utilized to center Dragon on the nest there at the aft end of the vessel. I love this view because you can see the state of the heat shield. It did such incredible work during atmospheric reentry. Dragon Endeavour now placed into the nest of our recovery vessel, Megan.
Dragon, I'm noticing the cabin lights are off. I'm wondering if you had them off specifically for re-entry.
SpaceX Dragon, we did, and you turned them on us. We were enjoying the nice calm lighting. What do you turn it back on again? Good. We're enjoying the lighting. We have to see what's going on outside this way.
No worries on the lighting. Fine with the lights off. I imagine your re-entry was pretty amazing. Side hatch opening should be any minute now, and I think that's about it for me working with you all tonight. It's great to see you back. Steve, Woody, Sultan, Andrey, happy to have you back home safe.
And so there is some technical specifics to get them egressed. So it is quite a process. So we're just standing by for them to get out of their seats. Does look like Steve will be the first out. NASA astronaut Steve Bowen, the first to exit the Dragon spacecraft.
I think I see a big smile on his face.
Helped up by the recovery teams.
Now being seated in a rolling chair to help move him back to the medical bay, where he will get a quick checkout with the flight surgeon.
And again, this is standard procedure.
We can see some applause happening on deck. Looks like our pilot, Woody Hoberg, will be the next to egress. For those of you that have just joined us, we are now standing by for egress of the remaining 3 Crew-6 members. We can now see Woody Hoberg making his way, pilot of Crew-6, making his way down the slide. Looks like some excitement, possibly some more applause happening off camera. Remaining inside are mission specialists Sultan Alneyadi and Andrey Fedyaev. Commander Steve Bowen has already egressed. Some more applause there on the deck of the recovery vessel.
Yeah, you mentioned the efficiencies, Kate. We're inside of an hour now, and this is from the moment of splashdown at 12:17 p.m. Eastern. It's now 1:14, or 12:17 a.m. Eastern, rather. So it's now 1:14 a.m. Eastern, and we're seeing the 3rd crew member egress. So we're just an hour really after splashing down that the crew is able to set foot on the recovery vessel. There's Rocosmos cosmonaut Andrey Fedyaev being assisted by the recovery teams onto the rolling chair. He'll also be positioned over to the medical facilities. Last remaining crew member inside Dragon Endeavour now is Emirati astronaut Sultan Alneyadi, completing 186 days in space.
Got some happy waves there from Andrey. More applause. And if he makes it out in the next minute, which it looks like he is, it will be exactly 1 hour on the dot after making splashdown.
Not bad.
60 minutes exactly. So once again, nominal operations are to assist all crew members to the medical bay. The return to gravity can be pretty jarring on the human body. So we slide them down a little Dragon fun slide, assist them into the wheeled chair, and roll them over to the medical bay. And just like that, the fourth crew member, 1 hour exactly on the nose since splashdown, has now egressed from Dragon Endeavour.